Lately, I've had some comments from men that tell me women who choose divorce later regret this decision. I would like to hear from women directly. If you are a woman who chose divorce, I would like to know, do you regret this decision? Because the women that I work with, the women that I help, they are not telling me that they later regret this decision, but men are. So I want to hear directly from the women who chose divorce. Do you regret this decision? Please comment and let me know.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a video for you here today from Men Only about modern women losing their minds after getting divorced. Even when they throw everything away, nothing is ever their fault. Now, today's video was suggested to me by Locke the Bounty Hunter. I'm going to leave both of their channels linked in the pinned comments, so make sure you go and subscribe to these guys. Don't forget to leave your own comments, and let's jump right into the video.
One thing I cannot watch on TikTok is the girls teaching other girls never settle for less, but then they follow it up with a designer bag reveal or a dream vacation or just showing off something that their man bought them. And maybe they're doing this without realizing it, but what they are doing is they're preparing you to be dissatisfied with whatever your partner brings to the table. And by consuming these types of videos, we start learning to measure love by material things.
It has been this way for quite some time, though. Modern women have made it clear that dating them is a one-sided financial transaction. To keep her interested, he must regularly buy her things, and maybe she'll smile once every few months in return. It's a complete scam.
And we turn to our own relationship and we're like, why doesn't he do elaborate Valentine's Day decorations? Or why doesn't he surprise me with luxury vacations? Why doesn't our love story look like that? But that's the problem, is these are wrong role models. And if we're not careful, we start chasing perfection instead of partnership, or materialism instead of meaning. And real relationships aren't built on those aesthetic dates or luxury shopping sprees or even the staged prank videos.
The idea was already programmed into modern women's minds with the romance novels that they read and the movies from their childhood. Love is nothing if it doesn't mean having a bankroll behind it, apparently.
That type of content is toxic because it causes you to compare, and comparison will rob the joy and connection that you have with your man faster than anything. And you know where it's going to come out? Through how we communicate. A solid marriage is going to thrive on mutual respect, trust, and for us women, it's understanding how to master our feminine expressiveness and communication.
That's just one piece of the puzzle. Social media has definitely warped the minds and expectations of millions of women, but her having multiple boyfriends, being a quote-unquote boss babe, and other crap also makes her feel like she deserves better than what she has.
The person you divorce is rarely going to be the person that you married. It sucks. It really fucking sucks. But the person that I am divorcing is nowhere near the person that I met over 5 years ago. I don't know who the hell this is. So please, learn from me. Have your own bank accounts. Make your own money. Prioritize yourself, your friends, your relationships. Thank God I always prioritized my friends and my relationships and the people close to me, because community is very close to me, very important to me, even though it wasn't to him.
Divorced women love to encourage married women to have their own slush funds to use when she files for divorce. All that does is convince other women that their marriages are doomed to fail.
Thank God. Because I'm coming out of this with a village. He's not. But that's the only thing I'm coming out of this with. Because when we got divorced, he immediately drained our bank accounts. And I depended on him. Because he told me I could. See how that works? Suddenly you can depend on a man until you fucking can't. So don't be like me, baby. Don't be like me, baby.
Women like this love to tell on themselves. She was a stay-at-home wife and he was the one paying all of the bills. She most likely made this man miserable for years, despite having the one thing that every woman wants.
Left me with nothing, homeless, left me a single parent to our child with nothing. My biggest regret is not investing in myself. I can blame my ex all I want for that. Ultimately, I did not demand that we invest in me. And for all my ex's hobbies and dreams and goals, we put all of our extra money toward it all the time. After investing in my spouse for 15 years,
She's acting like she sacrificed every single aspect of her life for her husband, but all she's really doing is describing basic support as a spouse, which really does show that she wasn't doing nearly as much as she actually claims.
they decided that now that they had this great job, that they would just toss me aside and move to a fancy new place and wanted to take all their money with them. If I had invested some of that time, some of that money over those 15 years into me, then I wouldn't be struggling the way that I am right now. I should have invested in myself more.
It's telling how she refers to her ex-husband as they. She can't even bring herself to refer to her ex as a man. And it's little things like that which raise more questions than they do answers.
I'm learning a lot of facts about leaving abusive relationships that are kind of hard to believe. Like, it takes an average of 7 times to leave an abusive relationship, or that 75% of women are after they leave. Another fun fact is that most women report that after they leave an abusive relationship, the abuse actually gets worse. On today's episode of Proving That's True, my ex-husband refused to take the electricity in the house that I'm living in with our children out of his name, but he also refused to pay it.
It's funny how she kicked her husband out of his own home, took custody of his children, and is now putting him on blast on TikTok. Like, women like this should just not be taken seriously whatsoever.
Wouldn't give my lawyer the password so that I could log in and pay it. Just didn't pay it and ignored all of the shut-off notices that caused our electricity to be cut off the day before our son's birthday. So, yeah. If someone's trying to tell you it's hard to leave, this is why it's hard to leave. But I fixed it. Turns out when someone's not willing to pay their bill, but you are, they will turn their electricity off, even if it's not in your name. Ask me how. I'll help. But it's in my name now.
Why didn't she just change the utilities into her name after her ex moved out? Well, the answer is simple, obviously. She was expecting him to pay for everything even when he's no longer in her life. But remember, it's her husband who's the terrible one, apparently.
Guys, I'm not even gonna lie. I can't even lie. I'm not even gonna lie. There's no better feeling than coming home from a vacation with your kids. Because it was just me, right? It's just me, single mom, with 2 kids at the beach for a whole week. And now I'm home. And baby daddy comes and picks up the kids. For the whole evening, for the whole night. I'll pick them up tomorrow morning. But like, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nice. This is really, really nice.
Imagine being one of this woman's children, just stumbling across this video while scrolling through TikTok. How is that kid supposed to feel knowing that their own mother is happy when they're not around?
Okay, question for my divorcees out there. How long did it take you to start dating again after your divorce? I just recently went to a golf event, and when I told people I was going through a divorce, men's immediate reaction was, what dating sites are you on? And then the women, all of them said, oh, don't worry, we'll find you a great man, as though they were feeling sorry for me. So it's just interesting. At like what point do you start dating again? Curious.
Those people knew exactly what they were dealing with when they're talking with an older divorced woman who's trying to date, and they already know that they're dealing with a lost cause.
I left my husband 2.5 years ago, and it wasn't a decision that I made overnight. I thought about it and talked about it for at least a year. Our conversations felt like they were on repeat. Tired of feeling like I was a problem that needed to be fixed, or it didn't matter that I was unhappy. When I realized that things weren't going to change, I knew that I had to change, or I had to live with it for the next 40 years, and that wasn't something I was willing to do. So I packed my bag and I moved out. And my only regret is that I didn't do it sooner.
Being unhappy is such a crappy excuse to file for a divorce. It's incredibly selfish and just proves that there was nothing wrong with the marriage. She just wasn't willing to put in the effort to actually make the marriage last.
You know, when you're going through a divorce, you will really find out who your true friends are. I mean, you think they're your friends, but once you start going through a divorce process and things get messy, where are they? So today, after leaving the doctor and having a CT scan and an MRI and seeing a doctor, and then he tells me he wants me back Friday morning, then I realized, usually I could talk to anybody about anything, but now it's just me.
If a woman goes through a divorce but her friends and family took her ex's side, then it's fairly obvious that she not only screwed up, but she screwed up so badly that they refused to talk to her. And a woman has to screw up in a massive way for that to happen.
Just me, by myself. My nephew went with me to the Amish community in Pontotoc County this past week, and we sat down and got some real numbers and some figures, and the price changed, and I found out that I have to do more than I thought I was going to have to do. So I'll be back shortly with an update on that, and cheers to Rice Krispie treats all by yourself.
What exactly was this woman expecting? Did she think that she was just going to have the whole support network of people just living in her house whenever life gets hard? Like, what even is this? That's what her husband was for, but she threw that away and she can't deal with the consequences.
80% of women say that height matters in dating. This is a massive, massive number. And what they mean in that a lot of the time is 6 foot and above. So women, a lot of these women, the percentage is very high, even if I've got that wrong, around the amount of women that are looking for men 6 feet or higher. I was about to say older. And actually, statistically, in Australia, and I'm sure this is similar to around the world, but in Australia, only 15% of Australian men are over 6 feet tall. So you're cutting out a massive part of the market here. So is height really a deal breaker for you, or is that something that you're wanting to compromise on and you would love someone tall, but if they're not, does it mean that they get cut out of your list and what you're looking for? That is the real question that I want you to ask yourself as we're kind of going through today.
Most of these women don't even know what 6 feet tall even looks like on a man. When they insist on that, it's not because they want to feel safe or protected. They're saying that because it's a status symbol, like a designer handbag, kind of.
So by popular request, I'm here to tell my story and the reasons why I got a divorce. I'm 32 years old. I was with the person for over 12 years and married for the majority of the time. I'm not sharing the story to bash my ex-husband or his family, but I am going to be sharing facts. So if you're a young woman or you're somebody that's considering getting married at any age, I ask that you listen to my story, and my hope is that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. A couple days ago, I posted a recording of a conversation that was a very common occurrence in my marriage, and the comment section went wild. A lot of women were supportive because they have experienced that type of verbal abuse and those types of conversations.
We have come to this point where a heated argument is now the same thing as rampant verbal abuse, and this argument is so ridiculous that she can't even mention a single word that he said that would give her the right to shove her nose in the marriages of strangers.
The majority of men in the comments were saying that I was in the wrong. So I want to approach the story from a place of taking responsibility for the things that maybe I could have done differently, but then at the same time looking back and highlighting the different things that at that time I didn't consider red flags, but I should have, and how that affected everything down the line. Going back to the very beginning, I was born into a large family. Not only that, but they were a very conservative Christian family. It came to the subject of relationships or dating, it was always for the end goal to be marriage.
Yes, that's usually the point of dating, getting to know a guy, trying to find a lifelong mate and start a family. It's been that way for literally thousands of years and has only recently been considered taboo.
It's funny looking back that although they really pushed that a woman's main focus should be to get married and have children, they also were pushing that you didn't want to date and that you needed to wait until marriage. So that's exactly what happened. The first person who I really dated was the person that I married. I met this person online. We had talked back and forth for a couple years, but we were living in different places and it just didn't align at that time. Eventually, we were both living in the same state and we started to date. And this is where I made my first mistake.
It's interesting how we have another woman who refuses to refer to her ex-husband with masculine pronouns, as if somehow not recognizing this is somehow going to hurt him and make him feel insecure, but that never works. It just sounds incredibly odd and petty. But anyway, guys, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new here. drop a comment, and I will see you all in the next one. Make sure you take care of yourselves. Peace.